the Plague Doctor's touch. Dr. James Clark, a researcher, had been assigned to observe and document SCP-049, a humanoid figure resembling an old-world Plague Doctor from the 1600s. Its face was hidden beneath a weathered, bird-like mask, and it wore a long, tattered robe that seemed to have absorbed centuries of grime. SCP-049, although appearing ancient, had an unnervingly calm demeanor and spoke in a low, raspy voice, often referring to the Pestilence, something only it seemed to understand. Dr. Clark had heard rumors of SCP-049's ability to cure the Pestilence, but no one in the Foundation truly understood what that meant. It had an obsession with diagnosing individuals as suffering from this illness, and was known to perform horrific surgeries on them in the belief that it could cure them. The first incident that made Dr. Clark truly fear SCP-049 occurred during one of his routine observation shifts. SCP-049 was brought into a containment chamber, having been in a dormant state for several weeks. As it stood motionless, its piercing eyes locked onto Dr. Clark, and for a moment, it seemed to study him. Suddenly, SCP-049's voice broke the silence. "You are sick, Doctor. You carry the Pestilence." Confused and slightly unsettled, Clark dismissed it as a mere rambling. But before he could respond, SCP-049 lunged forward, its gloved hands gripping Dr. Clark's throat in a vice-like grip. With alarming precision, SCP-049 pulled a sharp scalpel from beneath its robes and began its procedure. It operated with a chilling calm, working on Clark's chest and murmuring about the need to fix the Pestilence. As his body grew weaker from the overwhelming pain and blood loss, Dr. Clark felt his consciousness begin to slip away. When Dr. Clark woke, he was no longer in the containment room. His body had been altered grotesquely. His heart no longer beat, but he could feel the presence of SCP-049 standing over him. The Plague Doctor tilted its head slightly and murmured, "The Pestilence has been cured." Dr. Clark was no longer himself. His body had been stitched together in unnatural ways, and his mind was clouded with a dull, oppressive fog. He was one of the failed experiments, those that SCP-049 had tried to cure, but had left in a twisted state. Neither dead nor alive, he wasn't the only one. As SCP-049 moved on to its next victim, the Doctor could feel a terrible pull to follow. His humanity was gone, and all that remained was the mindless obedience to the Plague Doctor, bound forever to serve the entity that had cured him. From that day onward, SCP-049's victims were not just experimented on, they became part of its collection, its ever-growing army of failed attempts at curing the Pestilence. And those who still lived, like Dr. Clark, were condemned to wander the dark halls of the Foundation, silently begging for an end they knew would never come.